And welcome to the second edition today of the Women's Wisdom Circle. And I'm so glad I have Viviane who found her way in there and who joined me because I was debating, what am I going to do? If nobody shows up, am I going to conduct this and have a conversation with myself? Or am I... But I know that Deborah told me that she will be coming in about 15 minutes late because she's teaching a class right now. So it would have been too bad, you know, that I would have aborted the call. And well, welcome. And let's give a quick retrospect about what we are doing here, what we are attempting to have emerge amongst us, and more than us, you know. I mean, it starts with us, but hopefully it will have ripple effects, you know, after that. The purpose really is to explore the space of co-creation and what is emerging when we come together in the heart space and not from the head. And this was started I think in February when I started this, and it came out of a call from my soul, from my spirit, to do something, and I didn't know what to do. I was helpless, faced with the immense problems that we face on a daily basis worldwide, and I felt, you know, something has to be stepped up, and especially amongst the ones that have lived already and have some wisdom. And I figured, let's get some women together and let's see what emerges. So that's how this started. And our hangouts up to now we had a lot of talks about how to take care of ourselves rather than being lost in the head. Since quite often, you know, we are in the doing mode and not in the being mode. So how can you contribute to shift into the being mode rather than being stuck somewhere in your head and in the patterns that we might have tried and worked through over and over again, and perhaps healed and perhaps not completely healed. So let's attempt to do this in a community. And about a week ago, actually it's about a month ago, maybe you hang up your phone, or I'm going to mute you for a little. Okay.
I don't know how to do it. Yeah.
Know how to do it. Okay, so I'm going to mute you while I say this. Okay. And then you have to unmute yourself from the top. You know how to do this? To unmute yourself. You know, if you put your mouse on top, you will see some buttons. Your mouse on top of the screen, then you have like the second button is the mic. So if I have to mute you for any reason, you will have to click on that button to unmute yourself.
There's no button here. This is a Mac.
But the Mac, it should work also. Then you scroll with your mouse on the screen towards the top, and there would be something showing up that is the Google Hang Up and some icons. You have a little invite button.
It's on the side. It's on the side. Okay.
It's on the side. Okay. Well, this is possible. You know.
Okay. I see that. Do you want me to mute myself now, or is it finished?
No, but if you have any noise showing up, then you might mute yourself.
Okay. Sorry.
I know you're new to Hangouts and you're getting the hang of it. You know? A good way to say it. And quite frankly, it takes a learning. You know, I'm getting a little more familiar with it now because I've been doing them a little bit longer. But at the beginning, it was like a stressful thing. You know, certainly not something very relaxing for me, at least. You know. So I was just beginning to say that about a month ago, we decided, well, I kind of put the idea out that we should kind of conduct like a 30-day challenge to radical self-care, because that word of radical self-care has emerged many times in our circle. So I created a closed group on Facebook, and there's about 40 people who signed up. Now, there's not everybody who is active on it daily. It's as you can. And if you do want to join that group, I'll invite you and you can join. You let me know, okay? You can send me an email.
I do want to join, yes.
Yeah, good. Okay, so I'll just include you.
Okay.
And following, and the idea would be to do weekly hang-ups for the 4 weeks of the 30-day challenge. So we had the first one this morning, and this, if I don't know if anybody who has been actively doing this challenge is going to join us right now. So that's why I'm kind of giving you the context, so you can catch up, because I think you joined us only once, and we had not started that aspect of what we are doing together. And there's been a lot of shifts and transformation happening in that group, and a lot of people sharing very, very deep things. It's a closed group, so only the members can see what is being shared. So it's a private space, a bit different than the hangout space, which is really a public space. That means anybody who can get the access the link can access the call and can listen to what we are saying. So that doesn't mean that we have to censor ourselves, quite the contrary, but just for you to know the way this operates. So that being said, perhaps we can conduct a small centering meditation, and then see what emerges from that topic, you know, of radical self-care for you, and what that would look like, what your needs are. And I can share some of my process of the last week since I have started that challenge, and what has been transpiring in my life. So just taking a few deep breaths. Together. Another full breath in. A full release. And another deep breath. And this time when you exhale, just connect to the earth and imagine that you have a pair of imaginary roots connecting you to the center of the earth, the heart of the Mother Earth. And just allow that energy, that grounding energy, to penetrate through the roofs. And I'm going to mute myself and yourself for a moment because I hear an echo. And allow that energy to enter your body, your physical body, helping you get grounded, centered, connected, fully present. Imagine that energy moving up your legs, your belly buttocks, your torso, your back, moving into your shoulders, down into your arms and hands, and up into your neck and throat, filling your head. And just imagine that energy shooting out from the top of your head, perhaps even like imagining that those roots create branches. And imagine those branches connecting to the universal life force, the cosmic energies. the immensity that we are a part of. And just take a moment to connect, perhaps even connect to a source of light, either a sunlight or the moonlight or a star, and allow the light from above to shine down onto the top of your head, entering through the top of your head and connecting to the central column of light that runs in the mid part of your body and that connects to the center of the earth. So just imagine that flow of energy back and forth, grounded and connected at both ends. Just take a moment to breathe into that column of light and take a moment to connect with your heart, and through the heart space connect to the virtual circle that we are creating in cyberspace right now. There might be other people at a later time watching, so let's include them in that circle of connection to the heart space. We are being like antennas connected to the stars, grounded in the earth. Just allowing that image to help you emerge what is there for you to be expressed today. What is radical self-care for you? Or anything else that is emerging for you to share about is welcome. So this does not have to be a directive process. This can be an emergent process of what is ripe to be expressed through the heart space. And taking another deep breath right now and gradually reconnecting to your physical location. And taking another deep breath, connecting to your physical body, sitting wherever you are sitting. And one more deep breath in. And when you exhale, come back to normal consciousness and come back to the room. Whenever you are ready, open your eyes and let's see what is emerging from that space. Would you like to speak, Viviane?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Okay. Well, what emerged for me was the fact that someone asked me if I would help him today by meeting with him and his trainer in my office, which is what I have planned after today's hangout. And I'm afraid that because I say yes, that I'm going to be taken advantage of. And this has been an ongoing theme in my life. And I think a lot of us women have that theme of wanting to help someone when they come to you and say, could you help me? Because they know our Achilles heel, you know, they know our soft spot. And it has to do with a financial commitment, and I don't want to make any financial commitment or sign anything. So I'm going to be on the lookout for that, but at the same time I'm tense because I know that there's that pressure that's going to come about, even though he says, oh, there's no obligation. I made it very clear to him before the meeting that I was not in any position to make any commitment, and that I would not. So we'll see. I think he's the kind of guy, and I know him pretty well from having known him for years and then his being out of sight and then coming back, that he has to have his way. And so with people who have to have their way, it's harder for me to say no.
Well, it's about keeping a tight boundary here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what I want to say is, like, when you have like a allies.
A what?
Like this. I mean, when you have allies, you know,
Yeah.
like this group, for example, we are supporting each other in shifting those old patterns. So just the fact that you have expressed that fear right now is already strengthening the boundary. That's what it's coming to me, you know, that's what's emerging for me. Because there is power in speaking an intention, like anything, you know, taking a stand. And what you're doing in a way is like taking a stand for your boundary and not allowing trespassing, since you already have identified the potential areas where you are vulnerable. So just remember this when you are in the meeting, that you're standing strong. Be fierce in your commitment to yourself.
So how can I be fierce without being rude?
Well, sometimes if people don't get it after 2 or 3 times, you might need to get rude, you know, there's nothing wrong at times. That's, you know, I mean, usually I'm quite good at keeping my boundaries, and I've been blunt at times, really, literally blunt.
Yeah, and I've been blunt, and then people accuse me of being too outspoken and too, in other words, not filtering what I'm saying. But at the same time, sometimes people can't hear you. Like you said, they don't want to hear you. Mm-hmm. And I'm having also another situation right now in which for the past year or so, I've been going to a group. And
okay, can I just add something before I forget, you know?
Sure.
Said about that, it's also the fear of judgment on how we are going to be looked at when we keep, you know, the labels that I have been sometimes called, you know, when I do keep my boundaries. It's like, oh, you're selfish, you know.
Yeah.
And then you have that arrow of guilt that kind of shoots at you. And then it's about how do you process that for yourself rather than giving in to the pressure of that judgment.
Exactly.
So there's usually another level of healing. And I don't need to tell you that. You're a healer yourself, you know. But it's sometimes we need to voice our stuff amongst company of people who have experienced and explored that to reinforce, you know, what and you could as an experiment say it and repeat it maybe 10 times in the same tone and just not change, you know, rather than falling into the defensive mode of attempting to raise your voice and be, you know, be outspoken in a way that gets judged and frowned upon.
Mm-hmm. Well, I try not to raise my voice. What I end up doing is being very blunt because they haven't heard me, you know. And same thing going on with a very controlling person whose group I was attending, and I've cut back on the group, and I've asked her to cut back on the emails, and she's not. So I said to her, I would appreciate if you could include me in some emails and not other emails, and she's refusing to because it's too complicated for her. And so, and then on top of it all, she criticizes me for being, for wanting things my way in the sense that of what I can deal with. I told her what I can deal with is this. So, so I let her know that I will not be criticized or mocked for changing my mind. We all have a right to change our minds. And I've been very clear about what I would like to have at the time that I wanted to change my direction, because I've been very vulnerable in the last year in grieving, and as you know. And so some people have taken advantage of my position.
Yes. Yes. Just, you know, from what is emerging for me from the technical perspective, when you're sending out emails and you have created like a mailing list, unless you unsubscribe completely from that list, it's difficult to be for somebody, you know, to pick and choose who to invite and who not to invite.
Yes.
So it's a lot.
She has 3 different lists, and they're all 3 different groups. So I asked her to take me off one of the lists.
Okay.
You know, because she's flooding me with emails every day, maybe 10 emails a day. Wow. So that I really don't want to have, you know, constantly to have to look at. But if I report it as spam, then all her emails are going to be in the spam box.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's a difficult situation. I guess I'm just going to have to bear with it and erase them as they come and continue to set boundaries that are healthy for me, because I'm finding them out as I come to terms with the grief I've been going through, that there are certain things I allowed to have happen because I was too paralyzed in my grief at first, too numb to be able to do anything, and I allowed them to happen. And now I'm taking charge again.
Good.
So how about you, Aline?
For me, just giving you the context of what has been emerging for me in the last week, because this is about the, in a way, about a follow-up on that 30-day first week radical self-care challenge. And for me, what I experimented with, what I felt in the days leading to that challenge. First of all, a lot of technical challenges, because I had never created a Facebook page and a Facebook group, and I was helped, and guided by a few women in the group who had already done so. So I was supported. So that felt like I am not alone attempting to figure it out by myself, because quite often when I'm faced with a technical challenge, I abandon myself. I drop it, It's like, okay, forget about it, And then I felt choked, literally choked, because now that I've created a group, I better have some worthwhile content to put on there, And it was like choking me, literally choking me. I said, that is not what I wanted,
Mm-hmm.
I realized on the first day, I posted, the first day challenge, and then I tagged everybody in the group. It's about 40 people in there, and it takes a long time. I don't know how long I spent, opening 2 tabs, on Facebook, and because I don't know any other way of doing this. So tagging everybody, and I figured, okay, I'm not going to do this ever again, tagging people in the group. They are all adults, and I'm not going to be mothering anybody in there, This is a challenge that I'm taking to take care of myself, and I wish and hope and trust that everybody is going to do the same for whatever their needs are. We are all at different places. Nobody, there is no copycat fit, for how we do this. Every woman in that group has lots of talents and gifts, and knows how to do this. So, of course, then having a place to kind of report on it and being supported and getting comments. Not everybody gets. I don't comment on everybody, because that's, again, extremely time consuming. And but so what emerged for me is like I had to look at this fear of being judged, because again, that's what it was. If I'm not perfect, if I don't do this perfectly, and if I don't have some meaningful content and write a blog post every day, I mean, the list is endless on the have-tos that I put on myself. So it really showed me in Technicolor the patterns that are running me in my mind and totally getting me out of my head, And what emerged for me is a few days earlier, I had signed up for a teleseminar about healing the Inquisition. The Inquisition in our energy field. And I had been intrigued by this because I have memories of past lives where I've lived in those ages. And traumatic memories, of course. So I had signed up for it, and I was on that teleseminar last Friday night, so day 2 of the challenge. And it's just amazing, 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 the stuff that emerged for me. I mean, that anxiety and that fear showed up magnified after the process, and I had nightmares during the night. The next morning, I had a complete how can you say this? Like, you know, when you have a healing, you have, it comes out of your body. You know, it was itching everywhere. You know, it's like really kind of symptoms of a clearing, a very, very thorough, powerful clearing.
Yeah.
It took me a good part of the week, most of the week, and I'm not sure I've integrated everything on that experience. But what I listened to that call again last night, and what I saw, because then I could hear things that I had not heard the first time. What was up for me to be healed is that victim oppressor pattern. And a long time ago, I had identified that in my first house, I have the victim archetype. You know, everybody has the victim archetype, but I had it in the first house, you know, the house of the self. So I had done a lot of work on healing my early childhood experiences and my you know, my early wounds of the family system. And when I was in France in May and in June, I did some rituals on clearing the family lines. I went to the graves of my mother and the grave of my father, and I cleared, you know, I forgave. And because that victim energy is not just in me, you know, it came from way, way above, you know, I mean, probably from those times, if not further up in the, you know, in the timeline. And so that, when I saw that email, it's like I was ready to do the next level of clearing, which was some past life stuff. And what emerged for me is also is like, most likely I have been an oppressor in one of those lives, not just a victim. So it's like rebalancing that energy field in my personal energy field, but also impacting the collective through the personal healing. And this is really what we are exploring. How can we, by shifting those old patterns and the way they usually show up for women because of those age-old wounds, really, you know, I'm not the only one who has those wounds because I've talked to many women, is going to shift something in the way we are being, and will create another space of possibilities. I mean, we are exploring that here, you know. I'm not pretending to have a clear roadmap because this is an emergent thing, you know. It's not something that I'm not coming from the head when I'm saying those things, you know. I'm coming from day-to-day experiencing it myself, and then allowing this this emergence to take me to the journey of healing, this or that shows up on that day, and then see what transpires. The other thing that I have noticed, because the other thing that I heard last night that I don't think I had heard on the first time when I listened to that call, is that in those times, it's the throat chakra that collapsed, and that is what my difficulty had been. I mean, all those years, you know, I've been online and attempting to get my message across, but always something holding me back, always something kind of breaking me from letting my voice speak with whatever I know and what my truth is, because I'm allowed to express my truth just like anybody else. And so when I saw this, and for sure something has been healed about this, because I noticed that this morning in the hangout we had this morning, I was able to express certain things in a way that I had never been able to express them before. So to me, that is already a sign that some deep shift has happened. And yeah, so that's what is emerging for me. I don't know if you have anything that you want to react to what I have said.
I can relate to what you're saying because they're universal concepts. And as you said, they affect all of us women. Just as I know that saying no is a big concept, is something that we have trouble as women saying, you know. And judgment, as you put your finger on it, for me, judgment is the thing I fear the most. And one of the things I have learned in my daily assiduous meditations for 36 years now is that to let go of judgment and to let go of ego. And it's a wearing down. It's a constant job of wearing it down and wearing it down, and stopping myself from judging myself first. So I've been taking a course myself, which is the second week this week, to live consciously and to communicate clearly our intentions from what we understand about ourselves in our deepest self. Mm-hmm. And so one of the exercises was to write a list of things we appreciate about ourselves. And that was so hard for me. And it took me 3 days to finally write something down. But when I started writing, it started flowing. And I was able to find things within myself that I could appreciate, that other people have no problem appreciating, you know, but I have trouble appreciating within myself. And so I realized how hard it was for me to accept that, that yes, I have flaws, and that's what I was concentrating on, my flaws and my failures and my shortcomings, as opposed to my good points and the positive things about myself that shine, that that I didn't quite see the way other people see.
Yes. I can relate to everything that you're saying there, you know. The harshness we have against ourselves because we're not perfect,
yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
And you know, since I lost my dear friend Holly, it's been very difficult for me to think of how could I talk about these things, because that opportunity is gone now. You know, how do I express these things? How do I talk about my past lives, because I remember a lot of my past lives? And how do I talk about these to someone, especially in this area where no one even acknowledges that there could be a past life, let alone another life when you're on the other side, when you've passed to the other side. So it's very few and far between. So I'm so grateful for you and your group, because it gives me an opportunity to do this where I would never have been able to do that.
Well, I'm so glad, you know, that you are finding this here, because what I have noticed, you know, the healing that has taken place for me in the last week was only possible because it was happening in a community. It would not have been as well, how can I compare? I don't know, because this is the way it happened. But I've been attempting to heal those things for the longest of time, and boom, this week there's a lot of things that kind of, that transpire. Yeah. And welcome, Elizabeth. How are you?
Thank you, Aline. I'm fine.
Yeah.
I wrote you a little message and said I couldn't figure out how to get on, but a little persistence paid off. I'm on my phone because my computer has gone hospital.
Oh boy.
So anyway, here I am. I don't want to interrupt your conversation, though.
That's okay. I don't know, have you been able to listen into the conversation? Because I know there's one viewer watching and listening in to what we are talking. Somebody who probably not courageous enough, because it does take some courage, to speak publicly.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I can totally relate, to that kind of a fear, because I've been there for so long. I could not even. Last year, when in some of my courses, it was told I have to do videos, to introduce, and it's like, no way. There's hope. Here I'm doing Hangouts,
Yeah, you're doing great, Aline, and I really appreciate you've gotten me onto this whole Google thing that I was, didn't have any reason to get on before, but I'm glad that it's I think it's a good venue, and I think you've gotten a lot of people to, learn how to do it. So thank you.
Oh, you're most welcome. So our topic has been your topic, also this last week, and I don't know. I think I had sent you an invitation, Elizabeth, to join the closed group on Facebook on Radical Self-Care. You might not have seen it. But
no,
I know.
I think I did, actually. I think I wrote you something because I'm going to launch my Radical Self-Care Movement book tomorrow, I think. So.
Oh, okay. So
I'll write it up there.
Yeah, okay, fine, good. Okay, so yes, you are in there, okay, because I haven't seen you interacting that much because you're busy. I know,
No, but it's also not a habit. It's like sort of a habit to get on those things, and it's not part of my habit. I never think about it. But now I'll try to think about it.
Yeah. Okay. So how have you been taking care of yourself in that area?
Oh, I'm actually good. It's really what I write about. It's just a lifestyle. So it's always in and out. It's always I'm paying attention to my energy and how I feel and how I'm interacting. It's just part of who I am, and that's partly what the website or the webinar is about, is making radical self-care your lifestyle. It's not like you go to the gym or you go to sit down to meditate. It's like a consciousness of all the time.
Yes, indeed.
So yes. I'm good. I'm actually always good because of it. So. But I also did a really fun TV show. I also have a TV show here called Radical Self-Care Movement. And I had a Qigong master with me on Tuesday. And I tell you, it's like so true what we talk about. It's just the most simple things that are the most powerful. And it doesn't take anything fancy or all kinds of strange breathing techniques or anything special to eat. It's just totally not about that. So we did the simplest type of Qigong, just sitting in a chair and just aware of energy. It was great. It was great.
What, can you tell me, Elizabeth, a little bit more about your program? And can anybody join? Or?
Yeah, sure, definitely. That's the whole point. And that's how Aline and I got together, is we were in the same program, and I started wanting to get the radical self-care onto the web instead of just, locally. Or even though my students are all over the world, I wasn't really putting it out there all over the world. So it's a couple fundamental things. One is that you put yourself first, and learn to take care of yourself as a lifestyle. So it really becomes who you are. And I just had the most interesting conversation. Someone from one of the general's wives here in Hawaii, one of the United States, there's quite a military installation in Hawaii. And so one of the wives called to come and speak to them at their luncheon. And she really kind of wanted something about Hawaii. But I realized that, and she knew also, what they really need is radical self-care. So we kind of talked about it. And these women, these are like the highest, in Hawaii, the highest military wives of about 100 of the highest, government people, military people. And she says it's just exactly what we're talking about. You know, it's the constant little headaches, it's overweight, it's just not feeling good, it's drinking too much, eating too much, it's just like feeling out of sorts. And so I think in September I'm going to do a little program for them too. But it's just everywhere, and it's anything that women can do for themselves to, it's like you can come in anywhere.
You mentioned the radio. Is it a radio or show?
My program is television.
Oh, and can anybody join, or is it?
I think probably not. I think it's local Hawaii. But they do. But we're able to have our segments like once they're aired on TV. So as they come aired, you know, I will put them up on my website for sure.
Okay. And what is your website?
Well, the old one that honestly has not been updated in a while is myradicalselfcare.com. But that's been around for, 10 years or so. And the new one that's not quite really, I'm not sure how to do this. I've been trying to learn this new way from Brenda. But it's radicalselfcaremovement.com.
You need a
but
new
you're
domain.
Not gonna.
Then you need a domain name probably.
I have the domain name, but I haven't really put it up because Brenda didn't want us to put to give too many people too many choices, So it's going to come out to you though, Vivian. Tomorrow or the next day, you'll get an email from me with a link to the book and how to participate in the webinar and how to do more. And now that I've kind of over that hump, I think Aline and I can do more things on Facebook together, and I'll be more attentive and kind of be more of a participant there.
That would be
But
great.
actually, I got to tell you what's really exciting is to I'm writing another book now with one of the Hawaiian elders, and it's all about Hina, H-I-N-A. In the Hawaiian language means Hina energy, feminine energy. And so we're really looking at it from deep wisdom of this indigenous culture and the power of the feminine. So I think that's going to be really fun, and that's what we're going to talk about on the military base in September. So it's just, I'm just like so excited. It's just such a wide open, and people deeply feel that attraction because it's so powerful, and people are hurting so much.
Yes.
So it's all good, and I just so honor what you're doing, Aline, to bring this all forward. And you are radiant, my dear. You are fabulous. Just to see the changes since we met in, whatever that was, March or something.
Yeah.
It's extraordinary.
Thank you. Thank you.
I wish do you have some before and after?
I can also get back into my head and then look different.
Of course, right? We can do that all the time, right?
Yes, that's right. Yes.
That's great. It's really true.
Well, we are getting close to the hour, so I don't want to broadcast for longer than an hour because I usually announce it. But what I will announce again the next week timing. I will poll again the people to see what time is a good time for them, so that other people can join, because that's my commitment, to be able to have people who, because we really have people in the group from around the world, you know.
Yeah.
This morning
Yeah, we do.
on Bridget was there, you know, and so it's yeah. So I haven't quite, I don't have a system yet on the timings, but we'll allow it to emerge organically.
Yeah. Plus, you know, I also really honor you for keeping it to an hour. You know, it's just so annoying when things drag out and then you kind of don't want to leave, but you also only had an hour, and, you know, that whole thing. I really, really appreciate that, Aline.
Right. And, you know, I just want to add that perhaps those of us who have published books can perhaps support each other in linking with each other and promoting our books with each other.
Sure, why not, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Because just one last word, you know, when we first started, what was emerging for me, that space of collaboration and co-creation is also eventually perhaps to do some teleseminars together, you know, help each other move forward, you know. I mean, right now we help each other on the emotional front, breaking free from all those patterns, but this could emerge into something quite a different type of collaboration, you know. So it's like space is wide open, possibilities are there.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I'm just going to stop the broadcasting, and if you want to stay in the room, we can chat for a little while still. So I just want to thank you for having shown up in the room. I appreciate that, because I don't know if I would have carried on by myself if nobody had come. And I know there's one person watching, so whoever that is, you know, great. And we'll be catching the replay. You're welcome in our circle. So goodbye for now, and we speak again next week.
Bye-bye.
Thanks so much, Aline. Aloha, Vivian.
Aloha.
Aloha.
A bientôt, Aline.